Hi everyone, this is Dan again, here to make another video. And in this video I kind of wanted to touch on brainwaves. So what are brainwaves and what significance do they have for us in trying to understand ourselves and trying ultimately to reach an optimal state of being, or the in being in that optimal state, it's about tuning into that right brain state that will give us the greatest insights and give us the greatest creativity, and allow us to also operate with a sort of peace within ourselves, and also the way we start to view everything outside of ourselves. So I'm going to start with just saying that the brain waves are, we can think of them as different states of being that can go from being completely asleep to being very, very much engaged heavily with our minds in this world. So, without further ado, I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. And if there's any further questions, I would be happy to answer them for you all. So, I'm going to start with the first brainwave. The first brainwave is called delta brainwaves. And this state, we're asleep. This is deep sleep, and it could be light sleep as well, but it's the sort of the brain, if you want to look at it in a comparison sort of way. This is the dominant state that an infant primarily operates on. So an infant will primarily, even when they're awake, be operating on delta waves. Kind of crazy, huh? How they're actually able to be awake, and that kind of gives you some context that infant is operating on a very, very slow brain wave. So it's even though he's awake, it's if that same pattern were to be found in adults, then you would fall asleep. And it is important because delta is the brain wave responsible for recovery, for regeneration of the self, of the body, of the mind. It's the state that helps us integrate different things, as far as unprocessed things throughout the day. Delta is a good place. I mean, if anything, the rule of thumb is having slower brain waves is gonna help with integration one way or another. So secondly, I would love to talk about the second brain wave there, and that would be theta waves. Theta. So theta waves, where can we find them? What do we know what to look for with theta? And this is the interesting one for me. Theta, you can find this in toddlers all the way up to maybe 7, 8 years old, maybe 9. This is the primary state for children that are toddlers up to the age of 7 to 9 around. And in this state, you get that childlike curiosity, imagination. You get the ability to just let go of things as an adult. And the primary thing that is important to me is that theta waves represent the gateway to the subconscious. So when we're in theta as an adult, which is very, very rare to do, very rare. Some substances out there, some extracurricular activity kind of substances, they assist us with getting into theta. And that, you know, that bridge to the subconscious is key to sort of getting a whole new understanding of things. And it can be viewed, that state of theta can be, it can present itself as the individual being drowsy, or the individual being in a very, very deep meditative state where they are bridging that gap, and the things coming from the unconscious come to the conscious in such a way that it's not threatening the individual. They're just, the concepts are just kind of rising to the surface and making themselves aware, or they're making themselves present in the psyche. And so I personally have a affinity for that brain state, especially the higher end of theta, which would be, I could provide more information on the ranges, or you can look it up online. The high end of theta, which is about 8 hertz in the brain, that's that sort of, that's that magical zone that we often find in monks in the Himalayas. You know, they get into a state where they are so deep in meditation that I mean, that's where enlightenment comes from, right? So moving on from theta, we start moving into alpha. And this is also one of those amazing, interesting brain states for myself. Don't know why I guess I didn't clean myself when I ate earlier. So with alpha, here it's a little bit more conscious. We're not drowsy anymore as adults. We're it's a quiet, or it's a quieting of the mind, and it's a slow, steady awareness that is almost like a flow state, if you want to call it that, where creativity can really come out in this state. And this is between brain waves of 8 hertz to about 13 hertz. And so, yeah, right here is like where musicians, artists, you know, even meditating for people that are, you know, maybe not as advanced as those monks in the Himalayas. This is the state that you usually get into when you're meditating for a prolonged period of time. And alpha is one of the goals that I wish people would reach, because it's still conscious enough that you can work with it. And so by getting into alpha, not only are we more creative, but we are more willing and open to things coming out of our unconscious, coming to the surface, of us opening up to those things. And that could involve creativity, but it could also involve healing of trauma, healing of past emotional emotional issues that come up. And so that's one way we can see it. We can also see alpha in terms of athletes when they are in the zone, and you talk to athletes and they just seem like effortlessly able to just get to where they need to go, and they just know how. That's alpha for you, you know. And so alpha is very important to me as far as where society needs to go in terms of how to gain more enlightenment by actually practicing a state, that particular state. And I would like to get more into that. Now, I'm going to get into beta waves. And here is where the full-blown adult comes into the picture, because, yes, so beta waves, this is where the full-blown adult comes into the picture. And this is where we are very much using our brain actively and with purpose towards goals, and we're very much motivated by goals and reaching them, and this is what gets us going. I mean, the majority of the time that we're awake, we're spend it in beta, waves, which that would roughly be, because it's a little bit bigger range for beta. So you would be looking at between 13 hertz to about 18. Some people say they go up to 25. And so this, I mean, this is where you're multitasking. You are making sure that all sorts of items that you have to get done in a day are getting done. That you are remembering things. Memory is big in beta because you have to make sure that you remember things accurately. Accuracy is very big with beta, but it just involves anything to do with adulting, with taking responsibilities and executing plans and goals, and so you kind of can perhaps see where I'm going with this. That beta waves are one of our greatest states as far as look at everything we produce while being in a state of beta. I mean, it's incredible. And at the same time, it also has led to us being increased numbers of anxiety and even depression, because when we're in that state of beta for a prolonged period of time, we are not able to reflect. We're not able to slow our mind down and actually get some insight into where we're going. Why are we going this way? Is the way that we're going the best possible way for us? And this doesn't involve using more of your brain. It involves using less. And that sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but the only way I define that is you're using less of your brain in a way, because you're not nearly it's like you're not putting as much gas on the or fuel on the gas pedal. You're slowing it down, and by slowing it down, you can look out the window and you can see more clearly what's going on. The car is passing by, you'll be like, hey, I can turn up the radio and listen to my song and enjoy it. I'm not in such a hurry. I can get more out of that. I think that very accurately actually summarizes the state of beta. And in very rare instances, people can get up to gamma. And this is like, I think there's these peak experiences kind of thing. It's not something you can regularly do because your brain is not able to sustain this kind of brainwave. But gamma would be anything from 25, 30 hertz and up. And there are instances where you see people get up to 100 hertz, and that is a ridiculous amount. I would imagine this is the kind of mental resources and energy devoted to something like maybe chess or high stakes kind of activities. I can't think of anything, but anything that would be high stakes and anything that would be requiring the evaluation of multiple factors all at once. That's the only thing I can think of for gamma. But for our purposes, it's just basically a higher version of beta. It's not used that often, right? But I think that pretty much covers the brain waves. And I just can't emphasize enough how we need to return or use whatever methods we can. Meditation is one of the biggest ones that I see out there. Meditation and yoga, anything that can center you, that can slow you down a little bit. See, right now I was in kind of beta, and now I take a couple of breaths. I can catch my breath, and everything just is a little bit more clear. It's not about being fast all the time. Sometimes being slower can yield more quality to your thoughts. So I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to my channel. And I know that I don't make content that often because I do have a lot of stuff going on here at home, but I will be making more material because it's my duty and my love to share more great content with you guys that you can perhaps find useful. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day.